Welcome to Sunday School for our senior high students. For October 1st, 2023, I do not own the rights to this music. Today's Bible basis is coming out of Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 through 9. The Bible truth, God scatters the nations. The title of today's story, Break It Up. Keisha was offered a part-time job at the after-school daycare for kindergartners. She had done a lot of babysitting for the families in her neighborhood, and she really enjoyed playing with kids. She couldn't wait to get started at her new job. At this daycare, there were 3 little boys who always caused trouble. They would gang up on the other kids, knock their blocks down, steal their toys, and make them cry. They were very defiant, snotty, and rude. No matter what Keisha did to discipline them, it never seemed to work. Frustrated and discouraged, Keisha prayed for wisdom and sought the counsel of her mother. "Baby," said Keisha's mother, "I love you and your siblings, but you weren't always little angels. You would team up and terrorize the family cat and leave food and toys all over the house. When you were all together, you wouldn't listen to me and you would have to be separated." The next day at the daycare center, the 3 troublemakers were up to their old tricks, but Keisha knew exactly what to do. "Hey, you guys," she said, "you 3 need to break it up and separate. I want each of you to sit in a separate corner and not speak to each other the rest of the day." The 3 little boys sulked to their corners, plopped down, and frowned in frustration. From that point forward, Keisha separated the 3 boys whenever they started to act up. They eventually started to play well with the other kids and stopped creating trouble. Our lesson scripture, Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 through 9. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, "Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly." And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, "Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth." And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, "Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they began to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the new city. The city, therefore, is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. At one time the world had one language. Everyone could clearly communicate with each other. Translators and foreign language classes did not exist. This made things a lot easier for people, but they began to abuse it. They decided to pool their resources and build a city that would reach the heavens. They wanted to make a name for themselves and be glorified for their abilities and power. God saw their selfishness and scattered them around the world with different languages. They were no longer able to communicate effectively. To this day, the world still struggles with the consequences of these people's selfish act. Sometimes leaders make plans that will take those they serve in a harmful direction. What can stop this from happening? In Genesis chapter 11, the participants learn that God is aware of misguided plans and will intervene for the greater good of creation. In today's story, Keisha found herself in a similar situation and had to intervene for the greater good of her class. It wasn't easy, but it ended up benefiting everyone, including those who were doing wrong. The questions from today's story. Question 1. Why did Keisha think she could handle the kindergartners? Question 2. What happened when 3 particular boys would play together in the class? Question 3. What did Keisha do to resolve the issue? Question 4. What would you have done in Keisha's situation? Question number 5. What can we learn from the consequences of the 3 little boys' actions? Questions from our lesson scripture. Number 1. How many languages did the world originally have? Number 2. Why did the people decide to build? Number 3. What motivated them to build it? Number 4. How did God respond? Do you ever find yourself acting differently when you're around certain people? Do these people challenge you to be a better person, or do they bring you down? Take a look at your relationships and decide which ones have a negative impact on your faith and how you live. Why do you spend your time with these people? Whom should you be hanging out with instead? Make a goal of surrounding yourself with positive, like-minded people who will encourage you and make you a better person. Update your Facebook or Twitter status with words of encouragement about today's lesson. The memory verse for today's lesson. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Genesis chapter 11, verse 8. The end. God bless you, and thank you for joining me today.